That's gonna be the room at the end of this hallway on the left.
Thanks, Ro.
Yep.
What's the medical situation looking like?
There is a report on it if you want to read it. It is a bit graphic though. Are you able to see medical reports?
Yeah.
Okay, you should be able to see it. She's okay. She's recovering. She is in rough shape though. Um, she's on not antibiotics, sorry, painkillers to help and stuff, but she currently can't move around right now. And the reason why I said ICU wasn't safe was because the people that harmed her were threatening me to let them through the doors yesterday.
Who was that?
It was Edbert and Shane from ADMC. Maple was also inside with her.
All right.
Like I said, they're both in there. I'll be down in the ER if you need anything.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ro.
Yep.
Are you even looking into them?
Nope.
What? Ugh, fuck's sake. Well, I haven't done anything.
Only thing that's happened is we flown drones around a few times. That's it. That's it.
You should go and see her, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Do you want me to give you some time?
Yeah,
I
if
can
you
wait
wouldn't mind.
outside. Yeah.
Hey, Richard.
Hey. Hey. You you doing okay?
As we expected. I'm guessing you read the report.
The drone didn't really tell me exactly what happened to you. Maybe me and Maple can have a chat for a minute. Is that all right?
Yeah, if y'all want to go stand up, well, it hurts to move.
Okay. What's medically? Let's talk medically.
Medically, she was stabbed in the abdomen, clipping her lungs, one of her lungs and her heart. And she had the word victim carved into her back with a serrated blade. I was the first on scene. and I ended up being the one to transport her to the hospital because of how close it was to the storm. The ambulance wasn't going to get there in time.
Is she recovering okay?
Physically, yes. Mentally, not so much. It's been a bit of a back and forth battle. But a difficult one too, especially since how it happened and the fact that she was her bleeding heart was taken advantage of. Um, she's struggling. Doesn't want to go home. Does not feel safe at home. So I'm trying to figure out what the fuck we can do, where we can go.
Is everything okay?
What was it? I speak up a bit. I
Is
know my
everything okay?
yeah. I wanted to find out. Like I said, Rowan didn't give me the rundown medically what happened, so I wanted to find out.
Oh. You
Um,
told him everything, Sean?
I didn't really say anything about what happened aside from medical stuff.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
sorry. I can speak up. I'm whispering. I'm paranoid. I don't.
no, it's okay.
Is that better? Hi.
Hi. I'm sorry I wasn't here. I had a long night at work and kind of passed out. I put my phone on silent, so if I don't normally do that, so I'm sorry I wasn't here.
You don't have to apologize. None of us could have prepared for this. Have you looked at the police report?
No,
Okay. Do you want me to tell you what happened?
only if you feel up to it.
if you want, I can say it too.
Okay. Um, I I should be good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
The I still get a little winded. Uh,
Thank you for the
so
rain,
I have to
Nikita.
stop to catch my breath every
I
now and then.
appreciate you. Welcome. Hello,
Ivy
everybody.
Grayson came to the hospital the other night and was hanging out with us, and she was kind of in her feelings. I was talking to Idol and Naya about the wedding and the plans and the venue that we had picked out, and she was just like, congrats again, I'm happy for you, you know. But she had that tone in her voice that, you know, something was wrong. And I was like, are you okay? And she's like, I mean, I'm just having a hard time with, with some things. And every time that she and I started to have a conversation, somebody would come running in, hollering and acting up. And she came up to me and she was like, do you think I could talk you into going off duty and we'll just go somewhere quiet to talk? Because I could really use, some, uh, you know, girl talk or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, absolutely, not a problem. So I signed off duty. I got in her car and she was like, where do you want to go? And I said, you pick the spot wherever you're comfortable.
He wasn't very comfortable here, clearly.
Well,
She's sleeping, huh?
it's mildly problematic. Huh.
Hello?
Can you handle that 311?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm gonna have a look at this report.
Yeah. I want to look at the 911 also in the pictures.
Here lies a message for Richard Dalk. Take this as the final warning to stop in your tracks, or the rest of your family will burn for your actions. Hmm. Does Ziggy know?
I don't think so. But Flop knows, and Rue knows. Flop came by right away last night, and Rue came by near the end of the night. Um, Etta said with Flop there, the doctors, that no ADMC is allowed. And when I had come back at the end of the night, Shang was there with Rue. Honestly, I didn't recognize Rue at the time because I'm not used to seeing her without her hair yet. So I spoke with Etta and decided to let Rue in and sort of gauge her reaction and see what she thought of what happened, essentially. We wanted to know if she justified it, which she did. We made things very clear with her. And, Etta asked her straight up. I guess Etta didn't ask her straight up, but Rue answered straight up that she will always put the club before the family. Which is something I expected to be the case, but I think Etta held hope that that wasn't the case. There was a lot of back and forth.
How did that get asked, and how did that get answered?
Essentially, Etta was asking if Rue was okay with what happened. If Rue was upset with what happened, if she didn't have a problem with it. And she didn't really seem to have a problem with it. She said she was upset. But she believed probably it was justified. I don't remember exactly what it was that was said to prompt the response, but Rue said that she will always put the club above the family. Those were her exact words. Afterwards, we had a little bit of a conversation on the phone after Rue left. And she said that it has always been that case and will always be that case, and would have preferred that that was asked straight up to her in the past. I kind of told her I didn't really need to ask because I expected that to be her answer regardless. We had some back and forth.
Well, that was just rude.
That was just rude. We had some back and forth on the phone. I sort of explained Etta's current mindset with everything that had happened and how things have been for her. And she kind of tried to turn it on me and say that it was people's fault, not the club's fault. And so I turned it right back on her, and I told her that the club decided to go out of their way and involve themselves in our stuff. It was never us who went out and tried to take out people in the club to secure the family. It was never part of the reason that Etta was stabbed was because of the what ifs that she was accused of causing Ziggy and Aru to hesitate. And so I hit her with a retort of there has been no police officers or marshals that have gone directly after her or Ziggy or Flop, for that matter, to try and essentially kill them because of any chance that any of the three of us, being myself, yourself, Richard, and Matt, have had any hesitation with our jobs. And she just blatantly disagreed with me on that.
So Etta,
You told him.
Ivy asked you to go off the way.
Yeah, and I told her to pick the spot. She drove us out to a spot off of Cassidy Trail. We sat on top of the car. She was telling me how she's been having problems with the club. She didn't like the way that they were talking to her, the way that they were treating her. I told her that she should talk to Ziggy. You know, with him being chaplain and all, that's literally his job. He's the mediator. And all of a sudden, a black car pulled up behind us. I guess at some point she had pinged him. And I said, "Are we getting rolled up on?" And her voice changed immediately. And she goes, "No, Etta, we need to talk." And she got down off the car, went to her trunk, and put on her cut and stood next to Irish. I got down and I just kind of smirked and said, "Did you really?" At Ivy. And she didn't answer. And then I was like, "Okay, so what is this about?" And the first thing that he asked me about was the argument that I had gotten into with Finn. Finn had come in the night before, bleeding. I needed to stitch him up. He kept wiggling around. I kept telling him to be still. And he said he didn't like being confined. He didn't like being restricted because it was a trauma response from all of the years that he spent in prison after the Sanguine War. And I told him, I was like, "Well, if you don't like being confined, why are you still committing crime and getting yourself thrown in prison? If you don't want to be confined, don't do crime, forehead," you know? And I was laughing, because he and I have known each other for a long time, and it was just, well, don't do crime, forehead, I mean, because we tell people that all the time, especially in the hospital, because people are, getting hurt, breaking into this or selling drugs to this person or whatever, whatever. And all of a sudden, he got really angry and started like talking about the warrant for murder that had been pushed by some corrupt cop detective, whatever, and that he was going to defend against being arrested, malicious prosecution, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. I was like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, I'm just talking in general because, I mean, he's been to jail a ton of other times for smaller things, right? I don't care about I don't even know about this parent murder warrant. And I was like, but even so, the officers that were serving the warrant were still working under good faith as far as they knew. And if you knew it to be bad, then you could just appeal it. Why is hurting 15 other people and getting a whole bunch more fines, why is that the better solution? And he's like, are you seriously going to sit here and tell me to just accept being arrested on information by a corrupt cop? And like, he just started spitting the words at me. And it was kind of in that same tone that Rue had with me the day that she pulled well, you know.
Yeah.
And then it devolved into talking about Sanguine, and I was like, I don't give a shit about the fucking war. That was years ago. I was there. We all fucking suffered trauma from it. You're not the only one. And then that somehow became this huge affront. He accused me of, I guess, making fun of his trauma, which wasn't the case at all. And all I wanted was for the motherfucker to sit still so I could stitch up his fucking laceration in his stomach. And it became this huge anti-government whatever the fuck. And then the last things that he said to me were, you don't fucking know me, Etta. You pretend like you do, but you don't fucking know me. We aren't friends. And I said, I guess so. And he said, fine. And he walked away. And then Rue called me later because she wanted me to go see the apartment that she bought on the block. And I told her that it wasn't going to be a good idea for me to go. And she said, why? And I was like, well, Finn and I got into an argument. And she goes, oh, what happened? I started to try and explain myself. And the minute that I mentioned the Sanguine War, she got defensive. And then immediately jumped to his defense and started accusing me of making fun of his trauma. Where the fuck that came from, I have no idea. And I was like, you know what? Have a good day. And I hung up the phone because I wasn't going to entertain it. If she's just going to hear what she wants to hear and not listen to the words that are coming out of my fucking mouth, then there's no point.
Won't be the first time.
So I don't mean to interrupt. Does anybody need food? I'm just gonna go get some food.
I have some that was left up here, but I don't have any drink.
Just you give me a couple combos, please, Nova. That'd be great.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks.
It's all right.
Hi, Leah.
That's all right.
I'll come see you in a bit, honey. I don't want to interrupt your private talk, so I'll come
Okay.
see you.
And and I explained all of this to Irish and to Ivy. And I think at this point, Cora had showed up.
U-turn going eastbound Vespucci Boulevard.
Okay.
And then he started talking about the issues that he had been hearing about from me or about me for months. Because apparently both Ziggy and Rue have been complaining about the what if scenarios. And they've been accusing me of guilt tripping them.
Radio check.
Although I say Ziggy and Rue, but he didn't specify them both. I'm just assuming from.
Yeah, gentle. Okay. Sorry about that. I was just making sure me and Nova are on the radio in case anything happens.
Yeah, you're fine. He said that I've been hearing about you putting doubt in their heads for months with your what ifs and your guilt trip and your manipulations. And I'm just like, how the fuck is my wanting? Well, no, first of all, I started with anything that was said between me and my family is, with all due respect, none of your business.
Right.
To which he replied, if it causes them to hesitate to do what the club needs them to do, then it is my business.
Hmm.
So I said, Sean, you know me. I love my family, every single one of them. And I don't want one half killing the other half. And I was trying to figure out some kind of way for the people that I love to be safe. That was it. There was no guilt trip. There was no manipulation. It was literally me knowing that this shit was going to happen and trying to plan ahead on how to deal with it when it does. Because I always knew that it would come to this eventually. That we would get to a point where a line would be drawn in the sand and people would choose their sides. And our family would be ripped apart. And he told me that he believed me. And because he knows me, he knows that that was probably my intention, but it's not how it came across. And I said, well, excuse the fuck out of me for caring about the people that I love. And he said, but your father, Richard, since becoming a marshal, with his drones flying over my home, with him invading our privacy, unprovoked, is a problem. And he brought up your hospital stay, which I'm guessing he got from one of them, Ziggy, Flop, Rue, whatever. And I was like, yeah. I was like, he was in the hospital. I was like, and since he got out, as soon as he got the marshal position, he just kind of threw himself headfirst into his work. And I told him that everybody has their own trauma and they deal with their trauma in their own way. And that I do what I can to make sure that, you are okay.
What
I
did
was
he
like,
bring
but
that
I
up
have,
for, though? What's his
well,
point?
I don't know. But I told him that, I worried about you, you know, which in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have said, and I'm sorry. But I said that right now I was just kind of struggling to get you to go back for your checkup because you were so focused on work. And he stepped away, spoke to Ivy and Cora, and by this time we were surrounded by a whole bunch of cars. I'm pretty sure Finn was there standing on top of one of the cars. There were a couple behind us, but I didn't turn to look. And when they came back to me, he said, well, if you're having trouble getting him to the hospital, I know how we can get him there. And Ivy pulled out the knife. And I said, after everything that I've said, this is what you feel like you need to do. And she told me to turn around, and I told her, no, you're going to look me in the face when you do it. And she said, that's fine. I prefer the view like this better. And she stabbed me in the chest. And then rolled me over and started carving into my back. And whispered into my ear, since you like playing one so well. And then they drove off to leave me bleeding to death. I apologize for even mentioning anything about you and your health. I should have
No,
just
they
kept
they
my
know
mouth
already
quiet.
somehow.
Well, I'm sure Ziggy and Flop tell them everything, apparently, about our fucking family. Nothing is.
Hold on. The first thing to keep in mind is
All right, I
that
got some combos. I'm on the way back.
Copy. The first thing to keep in mind is that Sean could just be doing this to put a wedge between the family. And for his own fucked up reasons, because he wants them to himself. So it might look like Ziggy and Flop, and I know Maple's told me some things about Rue that I haven't liked what I've heard.
She's dead to me. She looked me in my face yesterday and told me that the club was justified in what they did to me.
Okay.
I will never consider
So
her
if I told
family
you
ever again.
that I ran out of gas at a gas station,
She will always put the club before
would you be
any of
angry?
us. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay. He said those words.
Yep. She wasn't upset at all that I was hurt, that I almost died. She claimed to, but she was defensive when she showed up.
It's
Right off the
violence.
bat,
Violence for words again.
Yeah.
after everything that I have done for her, even after pulling that weapon, and even despite my being afraid of her, I still reached out, trying.
And she said she was the only one trying. She came with Shang and Adbert for her safety. And when we asked why, she pointed out that I was a cop and I've probably hurt people. I said, yeah, I have, but not for no reason.
This was Rue?
Yes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Edbert and Shang were outside threatening Echo because she wouldn't let them in the ICU. And then apparently they made the comment that they wanted to do more to me. Because she came in panicked after Rue left and Echo did. And was
Yeah, Richard, I'm gonna need a
asking
jerry
if
can for
we
this
had a
Explorer.
place to hide. Because she didn't think that the hospital was safe for us.
007 radio check.
Yeah, Chencho, you're gonna have to ask for help on channel 1 now. But just ask the PD.
Yeah.
Echo mentioned that this was, I think it was Echo. Oh, Nova asked me whether I'd even been investigating them. I haven't. None of the marshals have.
They seem convinced that you're on this one-man mission.
Nope. There have been occasions, such as when they had the warrants, that drones were used to assist in finding them. Or like when they're so busy selling drugs that they're killing people and shooting them in their backyards that I send a drone up to see if I can spot what's happening. If anyone needs medical attention, that I send a drone up over public streets to see if I can spot anything. And I have Sean come over in the lot with people up by the courthouse watching to see if he needs backup, and he's threatening me. That happens. But investigating them? That hasn't happened. So this one-man army thing that he thinks has been happening, it hasn't.
You told him about the 911, right, babe?
I told him to read it. I'm not sure if we did, Richard.
I've seen it.
Yeah. I told Flop, and I asked Loki first. Loki's a sergeant now. I asked him first if I was allowed to do it because I believe that I honestly don't trust Sean as far as I can throw.
Just call him Irish. I don't want.
So I told Flop about the 911 that was sent because I wouldn't be surprised if he went to that extent. And I told her
The interesting thing about that 911 is that it has a couple of meanings that I don't think he intended. Because he asked me to stop in my tracks so the rest of my family's gonna burn. Half of my family is in his club.
Well, clearly they're all safe. So it's literally just going to be me, Sean, and Matt.
No, but I think
what Richard's getting at is that if he continues to essentially, in Sean's opinion, Irish's opinion, keep on his path, that the rest of his family, being Ziggy and Flop, are going to be in trouble. Because it's, in his probable opinion, that they are the reason that he believes Richard is on them. I get that right?
exactly right. So I think it reasonable that I think we need to show and make them aware of that 911 and show them who they're dealing with. And they need to start making some decisions, and quickly.
I told Flop. I told Rue, and Rue's response was that he would never do something like that. And she believes that he is an all-seeing saint and would never hurt her dads. And I said, okay, if that's what you believe. And I wanted to say more, but I didn't. Because I felt like I couldn't sit there and stand by with that information, potentially knowing somebody could be in danger.
And Ruth made her choice. Her family's no longer our family.
Agreed.
Agreed. Matt
As for
was
Flop and
simply,
Ziggy, what did Flop say?
Lop
a
was,
whole lot of nothing.
yeah, he seemed very conflicted. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain Flop's reaction because there wasn't much. It seemed
I mean,
like he was fighting himself.
Yeah, exactly. He was of course worried about me. But then he just kind of sounded numb. And I, coming out of the anesthesia, said that I didn't want any member of the ADMC coming into the ICU or coming near me. And I think he probably thought that Ziggy was included, but what he doesn't realize is that Ziggy is my brother first and foremost. I don't see him as ADMC. I clarified it in the note later. I had just come out of surgery.
That was what Flop was worried about in the moment.
I think maybe.
Then there's a lot more to be concerned about.
I agree. And I flagged him back down a little while after to tell him about the 911. And we spoke briefly, and I let him know. Same thing I said here, that I don't trust that man, and I don't believe that he is safe. Flop, nor Ziggy, nor Rue. And I believe he asked me something to do with if I believe that a Rue would be capable of doing something like this. Or Ziggy, I guess. And I think that was based off of Etta saying no ADMC. And I answered truthfully. With Ziggy, I don't know if I don't think so. I would hope not. I would think he would not do it. And I would like to believe that. And with Rue, I was very much honest, and I said, I feel like if Rue had Irish behind her, and he said to do it, that she would. And I asked her that same question when she showed up later, and she twisted it and tried to dodge it, by saying that that's not something they do, is make people who care about each other hurt the person they care about for no reason, just to prove a point or something like that. And I tried to explain that that was not what I was trying to tell her, but she couldn't seem to comprehend it and kept getting more agitated, trying to throw hypotheticals at us, which I shut down.
Made no sense. Did not apply to the situation at all. She was reaching for anything to try and deflect from the fact that she didn't have the guts to say.
Her retort to that was to ask Etta what her reaction would be had I accidentally shot Rue. And I clearly explained to her that if there was ever a situation where I accidentally shot her, my first course of action would be to do everything I can to make sure she's okay.
And I wasn't accidentally knifed and mutilated either.
And then I said,
It made no sense.
I wouldn't be happy about it. I wouldn't just be okay that it happened.
Ivy took pleasure in doing what she did to me. She actually enjoyed. Somebody that I considered my friend.
And I spoke very clearly to Rue then and there, in terms that I hoped she would understand, to clearly outline the difference between her and her group's mentality from mine and ours, and that was the fact that I am angry, and I want revenge. I'm not going to say I don't want revenge, but I'm not going to go and do that. I know better than to do that. I know that's not going to get us anywhere, and I know that revenge could feel good, but I'm not going to throw everything that I've worked so hard at away. Throw all of my morals away for a small amount of pleasure and revenge. And that I wouldn't get. I know the consequences that it would bring. But I'm not going to sit there and lie and say that, I'm not angry. Or I don't want revenge. Because I am.
For a club that cares so much about their image, they still do have fragile feelings.
I'm back on freak. I'm sorted.
You could say that again.
And honestly, I think what they called in you, Etta, as much as it's abhorrent, was projection.
I'm glad
'Cause
you said it, Richard, because I've been
I've
thinking it.
never met a group as more of a victim mentality, a pick-me attitude, because they have pulled that I am investigating them because I've flown a drone around like twice. If they want an investigation, I'll give them a fucking investigation. Larry?
Hey, Richard, how you doing?
Oh, I put Larry on
Yeah,
the
not too
case.
bad. Yeah,
Oh,
not too bad. Just my daughter's in hospital, so pretty fucking good.
yeah, I heard about that. And I'll be completely transparent with you, Rick. I'm looking into it. Maple brought it to me and wants me to look into it and investigate it because I can't remember. Are they married or dating or something? Maple and Etta?
They're engaged.
They're engaged. Okay. I know it's either very close to it, but I wanted to ask you if you'd be willing to kind of talk to me about it, about the situation.
Sure, yeah. I'm down to answer any questions. Yeah.
Okay, because I want to kind of get a backstory, just to kind of see, because reading the statements given and everything surrounding it, it seems like it stemmed from an incident between you and Finley, I guess.
I don't think that's correct.
Hold on one second, let me pull the report up again.
Not a good start.
Yeah, that's so that is what Etta said was something between her and Finley happened, and Finley was talking about saying Richard was being a thorn in their back. So it seems as if the animosity is stemming from something between you guys.
It's because I'm a marshal. That's probably what it is. Yeah, listen, I can come anywhere you want and ask some questions.
Yeah, if you want to, we can do it right down here at MRPD. I'm not investigating into you or anything. I'm just trying to get a backstory. So if you did want to talk, I'd greatly appreciate it.
completely understand. Yeah, I'll head down there shortly. All right.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Thanks, Larry. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was Larry. He wants to ask me some questions. All right. Listen, I'm gonna be around, so call me if you need anything. But
Yeah, I did put Larry in charge of this sort of situation because I was sort of the one person on scene and all that stuff, and I don't think I can really deal with that without being accused of some form of bias.
okay, well, Larry, as much as he's a good investigator, kind of dropped the ball on the Remington case. So, you know, let's maybe get more than one investigator if we can.
Sadly, we don't have many options here. Shift 3 right now.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's high water. She's a cadet, but what shift is she?
No, she's full officer now. Shift 2. She's a full deputy.
Mm.
I think she was promoted recently.
She's good. She's very good.
Is she?
She
does
did
come into
the-
Shift 3 a lot, so I could speak
Listen,
to her.
I don't know whether you heard about the whole reason I wasn't around the other night, the court thing. I won't say much more because I don't want to, no offense, Etta, but, I don't want to, police officer or nothing. But if you see, just look up court in the reports next time. That was the reason I wasn't around. Pretty big situation. She's handled it very well. Yeah, just, big raid, big everything. Kind of crazy. But yeah, she's, I don't know whether she's going to get involved, but, I saw a report from her about it, so. Listen.
Dad,
Yeah.
please be careful.
Oh, I will be. Don't worry. I'm gonna. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Call me if you need anything. All right.
Will do.
Yeah.
Okay. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you.
Woo. Nova, where are you?
I have prison to pick up something for Anna.
Alright, copy that.
So I've been given some equipment to put somewhere. Where's the best place to put it?
For DLC? Is it for DLC? Yeah.
It's equipment that's ended up in their rotation apparently. So she's give it to us. So do I just put it in my locker, then give it to Anna, I guess? Because she was dealing with it.
So it's equipment that's Anna's? Or?
No, I think it's ended up in their rotation. I don't know. It's a flashlight, a camera, and a nightstick.
Yeah, but whose is it?
Don't know.
What's it got serial numbers on it?
Yeah, but I'm driving. I can't see right now.
Okay. Let me check once I get down to Mission Row.
Do you want me to meet you at Mission Row or the office?
Meet me at Mission Row because I'm gonna be answering some questions from Larry.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. It took longer than expected.
Oh, you're fine. I've got a lot of things I'm working on anyway, so.
Oh, Richard, please. Richard, please.
Jesus
You okay?
Christ, Nova.
Are you okay?
Jesus Christ. You know what the great thing is about conflict of interest? Who's going to argue a conflict of interest when my son-in-law is part of the gang we're going to be investigating?
Right, where have you gone in this maze?
Let me call Larry, see where he is. Actually, I'm gonna run to the bathroom first. Alright, I'm back in a sec, chat. I need the loot. I've been bursting for like a fucking hour, dude. Ooh. Back in a sec.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
How you doing? Who's there?
I'm Officer Larry Johnson.
Oh, hello. It's good to meet you. I'm Marshall Gallagher.
Nice to meet you. I think I met you earlier, and I was going to ask you a question about talking to Richard.
Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah, he's coming to see you, is he not?
Yeah, he is. I talked to him. I'm just gonna I'll probably bring him down into interrogation just to have it on the record. Like I said, I'm not assuming him of any criminal charges, just trying to get a backstory.
Yeah.
But just to have everything kind of on the record. I
Do you
really
want
want a
any,
good backstory.
do you need any food or drink?
I think I should do. I just have to get some noodles earlier, but thank you though.
Okay.
I'm just
Very
hoping
thirsty.
I'm hoping that Richard isn't in trouble with this whole situation.
You don't mind me say on what's going on?
Yeah, I kind of do actually, because I respect Richard and I always want to look out for him, and it seems like something with him may have sparked this.
I think it's more like angry gangs doesn't like cops doing cop stuff, so they'll shoot people they care about to try and stop them doing stuff. That's honestly what it seems like this is.
It to me it seems like they took it a step further than that. They targeted his daughter. They stabbed her and then they carved his victim into her back. And they specifically stated it was
All right.
because Richard has been
Is there anything for this 18 months? No.
so this seems a little
42 months. Holy shit. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Lucas Lavender.
It was consecutive 18 months.
Richard, am I here?
Oh, wait.
Hello. I can give you the report number if it's the one in regards to this, it'd be 11448.
Okay. You okay with me looking at this, or?
Yeah. I'm just to be honest with you, I'm just gonna be kind of trying to get a backstory. I'm not assuming you did anything criminally, but
No, I'm just asking.
I'm just trying to get
You
a
know, she's my daughter, which is not officially, right? But you're okay with me looking
right.
at this, or?
I would assume I'm okay with you looking at it.
Okay.
I'd say it's up to you if you're okay with yourself looking at it.
I'm
'Cause,
fine. No.
There's some information in there that you may not want to read. So just a heads up.
I'm good. Okay. Well, I don't want to read too much because I don't want to get influenced. My answers to be influenced. So, where do you want me to answer questions? You just want
We can go down to the interrogation room, and I'm gonna record it.
Yep.
I would advise you of your rights and everything when you get in there. I'll just let you know beforehand. I'm not looking at anything criminal for you, Richard. I'm just trying to get somewhat of a backstory.
Okay.
Before I delve too much deeper. A big thing is I want to make sure that you are safe as well in regards to this, because it does seem targeted. This seems a little bit out of the ordinary, and that's the reason I'm looking into it.
Yeah, this is, well, definitely targeted.
All right, Richard, we can do the investigation room, and we'll continue from there if that works for you.
Oh, absolutely fine. That new marshal, that is Leonova. So yes, she's technically a new marshal, not new to law enforcement though.
I'll leave the door open. If you want Jesse in here as well, that's fine with me.
All right.
Do you need anything to eat or drink before we start, Richard?
I could use. I think Nova might have got me some stuff.
Okay.
Jesus.
Pull up my notes here. I think I got most of
Never mind.
everything. Let me plug this recorder in and get a start.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, we're down in Denham when the interrogation room. If you want to come in.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
You don't have to.
yeah, I'll be there.
Only if you want to.
Yeah, I'll be there in a second.
All right.
I'll be there. All right, bye-bye.
All right. Bye bye. What a fucking day.
Yeah, I can only assume, Richard. All right, so I have the recording going here. I'll start by saying I am Senior Officer Larry Johnson, badge number 464 with the LSPD. And if you'd like to identify yourself, Richard.
Sure. It's Straight Marshal Richard Dog, badge number 009.
All right, Richard, we are here today, August 24th of 2024 at 7:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just have a few questions for you in regards to something that happened recently to your daughter. I'm sure you are aware of them or of what happened to her. I just kind of wanted to get a basis of what may have happened this day and the reasoning for it. All right.
Sure, yeah.
So first question, just to have it on the record, what is your relation to Etta Hawthorne?
She's basically my daughter. She's not adopted or nothing like that, but you know, that's how I see her as much.
Okay, so basically your daughter, not by blood, is she
No,
adopted?
no, she's not. Like, she's not adopted, but you know, you don't have to be adopted to be seen as somebody's daughter. You know what I mean?
Yep, I
No
got you. So
paperwork.
basically
No
you treat her as
paperwork's
your
been
daughter.
signed. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, my note recorder there was being a little iffy. All right,
You're right.
what is your relation to Ivy Grayson?
Non-existent. I'll be honest.
Non-existent. Okay. What about your relation to Sean McQuillan?
Adversarial, I'd say. He's a member of ADMC. We've had some pretty, let's call them, hostile interactions lately. One pretty recently. I can get you a date on it if you want. Yeah.
In regards to the incident that happened recently, is that was there a police report made about it, or was it a marshal report?
There's a marshal report, yeah. Actually, I
Yeah.
can't. Let me double check that I actually made a report. If you wouldn't mind that. You mind me doing
Yeah,
this?
no
I don't
problem.
want to. I don't want to open up my MDT without, you know.
No, you're good, Richard. Again, I'm
Yep.
just kind of trying to get a backstory, talking to you as a friend here. I don't really I don't
I
assume
know.
you've done anything criminally. I just am doing this for the investigation as well as to make sure that you are safe.
Let me see. So this one. It was. It was on the 19th of August. I made this report at. I can't remember whether I made it straight away, but I made the report at. Well, I made the report on the 19th of August at 40 minutes past midnight UTC. So it would have been the 18th of August for Eastern time, for your American time. That's when it's a state marshal report, and I can tell you about the incident if you like.
I don't think that would be necessary. I don't want to get too much into that if that's on the marshal side.
No, it's you know, it's not like a big like incident. I think it might provide some light on. I think it's pretty important to your investigation, and it's not like a big marshal report type thing. It was more of an incident happened. I want to write this down. Less of this is a state marshal incident, like investigation that needs to be made a report. So essentially, what happened was there were some gunshots to the north of the Marshall Building, around in the ADMC block, right? So that's the block that corners on, that is like in between Davis, Roy Lowenstein, and Innocence Boulevard. There was gunshots coming from there. Very common occurrence, but it was happening a lot this day. It happened again, but it was like a lot of gunshots. So I went onto the roof with a drone. I sent the drone up. Bit of a finicky motherfucker, I'll be honest. Excuse my French. Eventually got it up. Put it over public streets, not over private property, and flew to see if anybody might have been injured or whether there was still any active gunshots. There was no active gunshots, but I was seeing if there was anybody injured that might have been shot down to see if we needed to send in medical. Oh, excuse me. Let me turn this off. Can I take this really quick? Make sure it's not an emergency. It's my
Yeah, feel free to do so. I can pause the recording.
Maple, I'm in question right now. Is it an emergency?
Not an emergency, but a little bit of a concern. There's somebody from ADMC just kind of sitting outside the hospital. Dr. Echo let us know. They're just waiting across the street where the basketball courts are, or the old apartment buildings.
Okay. I'm gonna send. I'll send Nova down. Wait, where exactly are they?
Echo, can you tell me again where it was exactly? Should I make sure I tell him right? Yeah, so from the front doors of the hospital to the left, there's a parking lot
Yeah.
looking out of the hospital.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Facing westbound.
How does she know it's them?
She saw the patch on their back.
Fuck. Okay, I'm actually with Larry now, so I'll let him know. And all right, hopefully we can send someone there. All right,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Bye. There is an ADMC car parked across from the hospital. Watching the front doors of the hospital at the the apartment block opposite the front doors.
Yes.
Okay.
Echo saw a patch on their back, and they're parked up watching the front of the hospital. So I don't know whether.
So you,
Let me see where the other unit on duty is. I think they're up. They
just
are.
want me
Would
to
you like
keep
me
an eye on
to
it?
have them send there?
It's up to you, Larry. Either because I don't know whether if this is a PD investigation, I don't know whether you want to send someone down. Maybe that might be best.
I think sending a PD unit would be better rather than a
I
blacked out
agree.
marshal unit. Yeah.
But again, I don't want to. If you can't afford a unit right now, then we.
All right, 44. If it's possible, you can watch over the hospital. There's an ADMC unit there that may be hunting for someone.
Thanks, Larry.
No problem.
Okay.
All right, let me get this recorder going again. All right, there we are.
Just to clarify, that was that was Etta's fiance, Sean Maple. He's an officer. I don't know his badge number. I apologize. I think it's 499, maybe. He was just calling me to let me know about that. Anyway, so to continue on with the incident that occurred on the 18th, if we're going by Eastern, 19th by UTC, I flew the drone over to see if anyone was injured. I can't. It's best my recollection, there was nobody injured for me to call EMS or police into the scene, and so I flew the drone back. But there was a lot of activity. Flew the drone back, landed it, continued on with my day, right? Went down to my scout that was in the parking lot, got on my scout, saw Sean McQuillan walking up to me, shirt off, just wearing pants, walking up in the parking lot. So felony trespassing at this point. There was also some individuals up on the ramparts of the city hall, like the upper walkway that looks over the parking lot. They must have been stood on the little, they're not plant pots, but like the little steps that you can see over into the parking lot, and I could see their heads popping over. So he had backup, and we had a heated conversation where he was claiming that I was flying over private property, snooping on him and his gang. He was threatening me, saying that I needed to stop that, stop looking into him, and all this kind of stuff. I lied, said I wasn't doing anything of the sort, said I wasn't looking at his, any of his block. I'm, air quotes, right? None of that. I just said I was looking at somebody else going into the sewers or something like that to try and diffuse the situation. This isn't the first time they've had problems with drones. They've had a lot of issues with drones in the past. Though I think there's been drones up in the sky, probably 5-6 times coming from the Marshall buildings, and they've probably had problems with them every single time. They're not the happiest of people. Let me see if there's any more details that might be pertinent in this instance.
Okay.
Yeah, there is. So we had this tense interaction, and I left to go to Mission Row because I was working another case. When I left, 3 blue gauntlets followed me all the way to Mission Row. They just followed me straight down. I took a right onto Davis, left onto Little Bighorn, and went north all the way to Mission Row. They followed me all the way. And then once I got to Mission Row, I went up to the roof. I saw them waiting for me in alleyways around Mission Row, waiting for me to leave. I stayed there a good 20 minutes. Eventually, they drove off. Then, when I was headed back to the marshal office, they followed me again. I believe the vehicle that I spotted follow me came back to a adjacent high rail. I didn't manage to actually grab a photo of the plate read, but they started following me. I had to like speed up and go southbound on Strawberry Avenue at high rates of speed, cut round corners and crap like that. Eventually, I pulled into the brown garage, went down to the bottom floor, and then I ran on foot to the staircase, but I heard them come in. I had to hide in the staircase. I then heard them come in their gauntlets, and they were like beeping the horn as if to like sound to the others where they were. And I heard them all come in. I had to call for backup from PD. I ran up to the top of the staircase, climbed, like, you know, at the top of the roof, there's like the ticket machines. I climbed on top of the ticket machines, got on top of the, like, the very top of the staircase and, like, hid there and wait for backup. And eventually they drove out, and police came and escorted me to the marshal office. So, in other words, they hunted me down after that whole altercation with Sean.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, now this isn't the only instance where they've had issues. This is the first time. That was the first time I had a proper altercation with Sean McQuillan. We've had other altercations with the ADMC in the past. That's the marshals, that is. They have a lot of issues with the marshals. Reasons being, it's a difficult question to answer, I'll be honest, Larry. Because we really haven't done much other than fly some drones around when it's been necessary, like when there's been gunshots or active gunfights, or when it's been like necessary like that. The only other time they've been used for like investigative purposes were when I think the 3 members of ADMC had the murder warrants. I think you remember that. There was an investigative warrant signed for drone usage to help locate the 3 individuals. And I believe 2 of the marshals used drones in that instance on private property because they had the investigative warrant signed for the block so that they could fly the drones over private property to see if they could spot the individuals wanted for murder. So, other than that, like, the marshals have done absolutely nothing to ADMC, and yet they feel targeted. For me personally, I believe the targeting is coming from that conversation from McQuillan. Now, you know, I think there is more than that. I think it's more than that conversation because there's a lot of family stuff. There's a lot of personal stuff. But in terms of martial work-related incidents, that's where I think that's coming from. But there is a lot of personal things as well.
Okay, I could see where some tensions have arise from between ADMC and police in general in regards to like Jesse Adler, the thing with Chastity that Dominic was looking into for the murder warrant. So I can see where they're on edge and maybe that pushed them a little further with the drones and everything, and Sean being heated about it since you had the investigative warrants previously for checking to see if those individuals were around. So that would be understandable. But like I told you, Richard, I'm looking into this because it seems it 100% seems targeted, and it goes beyond targeting where they tortured Etta. I will just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So based on what you told me, do you believe that they may have went after Etta because they couldn't get you? Are they aware that you treat Etta as your daughter?
I believe so. Yeah. As for why they went after Etta. I mean, I spoke to Etta this morning. They clearly had a level of motivation for going after Etta. Whether or not that was the whole motivation, I don't know. Maybe that was an excuse. But then, you know, showed me the report before this. There was the 911 as well. You know, was it two birds, one stone? That seems likely
Yep.
to me. I want to make it clear, you know, from the outset. I think you might know already, but my son, Flop Dugong, his husband, and my son-in-law, Ziggy Bugs, is a member of ADMC. And as such, his daughter, their daughter, Rue Min Mi, is also a member. So there was a lot of interpersonal problems that have occurred. And I believe this to be a culmination of those problems.
Okay. So I didn't know about Flap and Ziggy. I'm assuming this doesn't involve them based on what I have, what I've seen from the reports. And I feel like knowing Flop and Ziggy, I don't think they would stand for this. That's based on my history with them. Beyond that, it's tough to say. Okay, I think that kind of tackles a lot of it. The only other thing was, what would be your relation to Finley Milton, or do you know anything between Finley and yourself that may have sparked a controversy outside of what happened with Sean?
No, I haven't spoken to Finley for a long time, I'll be honest. I mean, you know, we're acquaintances. You know, we know each other, but yeah, like I said, I haven't run into him for a long time.
Okay. I think I'm good on my questioning then, Richard. I can stop the recording here unless there's anything else you would like to add in.
Yeah, I think it might be easier for me to just kind of explain what I think the situation here is. As I'm sure you can probably imagine, Larry. Being a man of me being a man of morals, and my husband being a man of morals, Maple being the same, and all being officers. When you have members of the family who have turned tail and turned their life to committing acts that they once fought against, causes some turmoil in a family. Been difficult for a long time. I think Sean has been hearing that turmoil for a long time. Has been hearing the arguments made by myself, who is very vocal about the issues that could arise from an officer of of the family responding to a scene where a criminal member of the family is committing criminal acts. that could get dangerous and potentially heartbreaking. I have voiced my concerns to, one could say, concerning ends, maybe breaking ends, sad ends, I don't know. And I think Sean has been on the end of that for a long time and has been hearing about it. And I think he's sick of hearing about it. And from what Etta said, he brought that up during their conversation about how perhaps I have been leading Ziggy and Rue to levels of hesitation in the club. And because of that, I'm a problem. I don't know. I think this goes a lot deeper than me just being a marshal.
It does seem as such. That's what I was talking to the other marshal over here, Jesse, correct?
Yeah.
So I was telling Jesse right before you called me. I think you were using the restroom. It seems like it's a lot deeper than just a gang going after a cop or a marshal or someone with a badge. It seems a lot deeper than that, and kind of the reason I wanted to look into it. So I'll be completely honest with you, Richard. It's one thing, to kidnap somebody, to send a message, and then leave them there for somebody to find. If you were to look at the report, you would see Etta stated she was stabbed. Sean called 911. There were some factors beyond that, but that's a basis of it. And then the factors beyond that go into, I guess I'll go into detail. They carved the word victim into her back with a knife. And once I saw that, I felt that this was more than just a normal crime, more than just a sending a message in the sense of we can get to you and we can hurt you. This seems like it's targeting to the point where there's deeper things going on.
Have you spoken to Etta about that yet?
I have not. I kind of wanted to wait to reach out to her to let her kind of regain her thoughts and not to put too much on her plate at the moment after it just happened. So I was kind of gonna go to her a little bit later. I wanted to reach out to you first because she did make the statement that something happened between you and Finley. Maybe at the time, or maybe how she was spoken to, it seemed like it was between you and Finley. But after talking to you, it seems like it may be more between you and Sean. And then maybe
I
Etta
think
had a talk to Finley.
For some reason, the club has this idea that I'm coming after them or something like this. I guess that's to do with the family, because I have members of the family in there and they think I don't like that, which, I don't. Don't get me wrong. I wish beyond my mortal being that my family did have nothing to do with that gang. I wish Ziggy never joined. But we're in this situation. And it's a thing. But I have not investigated them. That has not been a thing. And for that, I don't know why they've made this assumption. And I think it's spread through the gang like wildfire. And they all believe it.
I think
It's just because of the drone.
Yeah, I think that from everything I've heard from everybody is that nobody's really been pressed on any kind of gang areas and whatever, and the fact that we are using drones now to survey areas and stuff, I think it is natural for criminal organizations to heighten aggression to new investigative measures that they're not used to, right? And their way of dealing with it is lashing out. I've seen it before. We'll see it again.
That I could understand. Them going after Etta because they couldn't get to Richard. But like I said, the thing is they carved the word victim into Etta's back.
There is
And
context to
that
that,
wording
Larry.
alone.
I don't know whether you want it from me or you want it from Etta, but there is context.
I mean, if you would like to give me the context, most likely I will ask Etta as well, but
Okay.
that's the thing that's thrown me for a loop.
So, as far as I'm aware, after talking to Etta, again, this is secondhand information, Etta and Finley had an argument while she was on duty as a doctor. Finley came in as a patient, where it basically boiled down to a argument about sanguine, where Finley was talking about his trauma that he had from sanguine, about how he didn't like being locked up after sanguine, and as such has trauma since then about being locked up. Etta had made a joke about, why do you still do crime and get locked in prison if you don't like, if you still have trauma about that stuff. And then Finley got angry and started talking about the corrupt police investigation about the murder stuff. And then was talking about like how he killed all the cops that came down for the, I guess, when they came down to the block or something, and then was talking about sanguine again and his trauma and stuff. And then Etta was like, you're not the only one who has trauma from sanguine. I was there. There was other people there. And then I guess he took that as making fun of his trauma. And that's spiraled. And I guess that's why they call victim. I don't know whether it's through with like, I actually don't know why victim was used. Maybe I'm missing a bit of context myself there, but I think that's probably why that was done.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, seeing that part and not really having context, I'm sure you can understand why that would throw me for a bit of a loop.
Of course, yeah.
In regards to this, I will be trying to reach out to the members of ADMC. I'm sure it probably won't go the greatest for me. I don't want to spark any more bad blood. If I could, I would like to try to diffuse the situation, even if that means the people that have done this are not brought to justice. But it means that in the future, there will be less targeting of your family per se, or maybe it will help your family be more bonded together in these tough times.
No, do it.
As much as I would love to bring justice, Richard, if the opportunity arises to where I can diffuse a situation and, for lack of better words, diffuse
you're not
the turmoil
gonna
between
diffuse
you and
shit,
them.
Larry. It ain't gonna
You
happen.
don't think so?
There's no reasoning with these people.
No. Even I can tell you this: when a criminal organization like the ADMC is set in the ways, and they know there's a weak spot, they will exploit that weak spot to the biggest extent, right? The one thing that we have to do is to look out for the warning signs, and when they hit, we have to hit back harder. It's as simple as that. I know you don't like hearing it, but they will continue to attack. They will continue. The more we investigate, the more drones they see, the more whatever. It's a game of attrition.
Right.
These are people who are trying to control and have power with fear. That's what they are trying to do. They are trying to force myself and Etta and the rest of my family into submission with fear of violence. If we submit to that, if the police department submits to that, then they win. Their power succeeds, their fear succeeds, and they continue on doing that to not just myself, not just my family, but to everybody else in the city that they can get their hands on.
They need the way you circumvent this is they associate drones and investigations with Richard at the moment. We have to change that focus.
I'm going to be the one investigating this, and I'm going to try to. I already put a bolo out for Sean McQuillan, Ivy Grayson, and Cora Starr. I don't think Finley was directly involved in this. Etta believes to have seen him from a distance, just sitting on a roof of a car. I don't believe he was directly involved, but the other three, based on Etta's statement and the 911 that was made, are involved. And I do have a bolo for them. I doubt they're going to just come in free, of free will and want to talk to me, but I think that's going to be my best route for the moment, is try to talk to them before just issuing a warrant, hoping for the best. And I think, based on what you just said, Jesse, that may help, because then they'll know that I am the one investigating them. Even though they'll probably have a reason to think that Richard is, but maybe it'll take some of the flack off you, Richard, and bring it my way. As much as I may not want it, I am asking for it at this time because I would like to speak to them about this.
Okay.
The thing that I'm just going to add to this, there should be no safe haven in this state where crime is permitted. And the expectation that people can live and deal and shit where they eat, I stamped that out a very long time ago, and I'll be damn sure that I'll be doing that again. So
It's just the PD have been trying to crack down on areas like this where there's a lot of drug sales. It is all based on numbers on our end of when we can. We try to organize things. I can pass it along to TRT to maybe try to push the ADMC block a little bit. It's an unknown number calling me. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to take this. Hello, this is Officer Johnson. Yes, I am the police. You're cold in the rain? Jemima Webster. I would say if you're cold in the rain, try to seek shelter, depending where you're at. Oh, that is not good. Who is your grandson, if you don't mind me asking?
Aubrey?
Okay, Aubrey Webster, yes. At the moment, I believe his properties are locked down, so I would not be able to assist you with that. You should be able to seek refuge in the apartments or maybe the hospital if you need to. I'm sorry, I will not be able to do that. I will not be able to assist you with that. You should be able to seek refuge at the hospital, especially if you need medical. Otherwise, there are government apartments. No, I did no such thing. If you would like, I can dispatch EMS to your location. that was interesting because I don't believe that I'm in the lemon list, so I'm not sure.
You're not.
What did they want?
They were
Apparently, it
asking
was
about Bullhead's
Aubrey Webster's
properties.
grandmother. Yeah, and she can't enter the house because it is currently locked down. There's a pending raid.
Hmm.
I think that's the first time I ever got a call from an unknown number.
Wow. Lucky you.
They might call you guys now.
Ain't no way. Hello, Richard Dog speaking.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Oh, Miss Webster, did you leave your refrigerator running?
How did you know it's me?
You should probably go catch it.
Really, Richard?
Yeah. I'm a dad. What do you expect there?
I guess I'm not to that point yet, so I don't have all the dad jokes under my belt.
Okay. Any
so,
more questions you want to ask me? Yeah.
I don't think I have any more questions for you at the moment, Richard. I'll try to reach out to Etta. Maybe I'll talk to Sean first, Sean Maple, in regards to see if she is comfortable answering some questions. I just didn't want to put too much pressure on her after something like that occurred.
Yeah.
Like I said to you, I'm just kind of looking into it to kind of get a backstory to figure out why this may be happening and maybe try to see if they're targeting somebody or if there's a reason that we would need to, I guess, offer protection in a sense to certain people. Obviously, you and Etta are both government employees, so it is treated a little bit differently. But we just want to make sure that everybody is safe.
Yeah. I
All
would
right,
talk
Richard,
to
I'll stop the recording now then.
I would if you haven't added to your list already, obviously because they're family. They might have more insight. Maybe add Ziggy Bugs and Flop Dugong to your list of people to question.
I had originally thought about them, but in the purview of this investigation, it may be tough because I don't see them being directly involved in any way, shape, or form.
Sure, but maybe just like a phone call might.
Yeah, I can probably reach out to Flopper Ziggy. I mean, they're pretty amicable towards me, so I think they would
Exactly.
understand if it's family relations and everything. I'm not investigating them.
Yeah, just they might have information that might be worthwhile, especially because it's their sister after all.
Right. Okay, I can add them to the list and try to reach out to them. I will be honest, Richard, I have been worried about Flop since he has retired. But that is a
How come?
separate situation. Well, I've seen Flop multiple times with Rue and other ADMC members selling things out of the back of his car. I was with another officer at one point. In the back of his car, there were some illegal goods. I didn't document them at the time.
Legal or illegal?
Illegal goods.
What kind of goods?
I'm pretty sure in one of them, one of my fellow officers, Bruno Brown, saw fentanyl,
What?
HVAC parts, stolen wallets, stolen shoes, tools that we know are used for robberies, such as like screwdrivers, etc.
You saw fentanyl in the back of Flop's car.
Yes, in the back of his stationery. What is it? Regina. We didn't document anything at the time because, as you know, we'd have to suspect him of his crime to be able to document his vehicle and everything. It gave us kind of open access. But I'm just a little worried about him retiring. His husband being in the ADMC and pretty high up from what I've heard. His daughter also being in the ADMC. That situation at the hospital where we saw some questionable items in his trunk, and then also there have been some street races going on where we have gotten plate reads of his gauntlet. And I'm sure, as you know, previously I have went after street races and caught doctors, previous receptionists, dispatchers, the whole 9 yards. And it seems like maybe there's some type of community within the street racing where these people are organized and they are taking part in crime as well.
Do you like make reports for these street races? Yeah.
Most of them, yes, if we have caught somebody. The one time that we did target Flop's car, there was so many cars that interfered, and his gauntlet is insanely fast that we could not keep up. But I believe in the same street race, we caught Jadelin, who was the ex head of dispatch. We also caught Dr. Kizu.
Jalen Sawyer.
Yes. And Jadelin Sawyer did have a firearm on her person when she was caught as well.
You're shitting me. Like an
not.
illegal firearm?
Yeah, it was one of the makeshift ones.
Sake.
So it would be incident 8654. We had the other incident where I talked to you with Dr. Kizu, and if I recall, I had spoken to you about her being a doctor and kind of how to proceed, considering she's a government employee and we didn't have her apprehended, but had her vehicle and everything and wanted to start an investigation. You reached out to her and she resigned on the spot.
Yeah.
We also had... I'm trying to remember the other person. Another person where we ran their plate during a street race. We weren't able to apprehend them, but it was their vehicle being used in a street race. We've also had Flops. Flop DeGong's Gauntlet. And personally, I've been a little worried about Flop. You know, I have the utmost respect for Flop. He was one of my FTOs. He taught me to be the officer that I am today. I really want to remember who the other person was. I think there may be an incident regarding it.
Flops, he knows the consequences, so he's doing these things and he knows what it can mean.
Yeah, I'm sure Flop is well aware, and I can't say that he was driving a Gauntlet, but I'm assuming if he was, he knew that to flee the area and how to go about fleeing the area to where we could not pursue.
Do you remember the names of anybody else, like any of the other plates you ran during that, like the ones where you spotted Flop?
There was a Saikau, Saikau. He's on a motorcycle.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember some of the other ones, but I can't off the top of my head. I believe Officer Omar Flacco was also there as well. Because usually what we'll do in these street races is a standard procedure is if we see them line up, we'll try to pick out a car, right? If we catch them during the race and we did not have a starting lineup, we'll do some plate runs and see the cars and try to make a best decision of a car to target. And it's been lately that we've been running into, you know, ex-dispatchers, ex-receptionists.
Well, who else are you talking here? There's a lot of, like, there's plurals here. So other than Jadelin and maybe Flop, who else?
There was Dr. Kizu.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on who the other person was, but we ran their plate and it was an ex-receptionist. Jordan
Jordan?
Ackridge.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, that's not a surprise.
I mean, obviously, these are plate runs. We don't know if it's them driving the vehicle. We don't know if anybody has access to their vehicles. They were not apprehended, except in the case of Jadelyn. But just, seeing their vehicles kind of raises a red flag. And usually if we run the plate and see that it's somebody that we know, especially an ex-government employee or current government employee, we will try to pursue them.
That's a good attitude to have, because that's what I'd do. Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want from me, Barry?
I don't believe so, Richard. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to answer these questions. I will add Flop and Ziggy to the list as well. I may just try to talk to them over the phone. Again, I don't think with you or Ziggy or Flop, I would be looking at any type of criminal charges. I think I have those set for the moment, unless anything changes or arises while investigating.
So I'm just thinking that 911 from Sean McQuillan did say if I was to, I guess, not continue in my tracks, the rest of my family will burn. That's my family, so they need to be warned, right?
Right. I would assume Flop and Ziggy being very close to 80. Well, Ziggy and ADMC, Flop being very close, Rue and ADMC, I would believe that they would have knowledge of it. I would hope. And if not,
Hey,
I'm
Larry,
not sure how Sean would react.
assumptions make an ass out of you and me, right?
Exactly.
Let's dot our I's and cross our T's.
Yeah, I'll most likely try to reach out to Flop next. Because I have a good rapport with Flop, and the only thing is I'm not sure how Sean would react if I were to bring it to Flop's attention and it was taken the wrong way,
How do I say this?
To
Go on, Leah.
No, sorry, you go ahead. I'm speaking on something
you
unrelated.
go. Oh, you're gonna.
No, I'm speaking on something unrelated. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say this. I guess I'll say this like this. Other than being a suspect, this is my opinion, and of course, I am not involved in this investigation. But my opinion on that as a law enforcement officer, and I'll kind of keep this non-biased. If I was working this case, Sean, other than being the prime suspect, I guess, based on that 911, and obviously you're going to talk to Etta, so there's another person involved. His opinion is completely irrelevant. So, like, the way he would react if you spoke to Flop, like, if he acts out, all it's going to do is, as long as Flop is safe, it's just gonna give you more evidence.
Well, that's what I'm referring to, kind of Flop safety. If I bring it up with Flop stating that, he threatened your family if you don't quit acting appropriately, for lack of better terms, and Flop being your family, if Flop were to hear that and take it as Sean is threatening Flop, since it is your family, the tides may turn on Flop.
What about if they already
turn
have?
on Ziggy.
What about if they already have?
Could have. I will be giving Flop a warning. I'm just trying to think a few steps ahead to see if Sean may lash out at Flop or Ziggy or Rue.
I mean, this could be a ticking time bomb.
I'm pretty sure that it is.
Exactly. So, like, I'm going to be making my own warnings, but I think there needs to be official ones from the PD side.
Yeah, I will be reaching out to them. I've added them into the report to reach out to and possibly question if they would like to. Flop may come in. I doubt Ziggy will. I doubt Rue will. I doubt Sean Ivy or Cora Star will as well, but I will try to reach out to them and see if they would be willing to come down and answer some questions.
Okay. All right. Well, Larry, if you need anything else, of course, just give me a call.
Same goes for you, Richard. If you need anything or if you feel like you are under threat or anything like that, please feel free to reach out.
All right. We'll do.
I'll look
I
after
will
it
stop this
to the
recording.
best of my ability.